let's swing into the news. Some big happenings this week. Please tell me about it. Tell our audience about it.
Yeah, we had big news on Friday. The USL announced that a new women's league that we've known about for a while here, the USL Super League, was awarded Division 1 status by US Soccer. So basically, the USL announced it would apply for this status back in March of 2023. It didn't come as a surprise to anyone, but for me, personally, I couldn't help but feel like a little confused about this. Why would U.S. Soccer sanction another Division 1 women's league really on the heels of the NWSL's landmark media rights deal that looks to have the league in great position as it continues to trend up? But after reading more about what goes into the Division 1 designation, I think things kind of started to really make more sense to me. So please, Dino, as the business savvy person on this podcast, can you hit us with where these first 8 clubs in the Super League are located and some of those requirements that had to be met to make the USL Super League a Division 1 league?
Yeah, so this was interesting. Looking at the markets, Spokane, Washington, that's our farthest west squad. Dallas, Fort Worth, Tampa, Fort Lauderdale, Carolina, Lexington, Washington, D.C., and wouldn't you know it, our old stomping grounds, Brooklyn, New York. That's what really flipped it for me. We're just going to be honest. With regard to earning that Division 1 designation, the league needed to assemble at least 8 teams in metro areas across at least 2 time zones, 5,000-person stadiums. Principal owners needed to hold at least 35% of the club and have a net worth of at least $15 million. League's also got a pretty strong pipeline of cities that will come online in future seasons. Big cities like Oakland, Phoenix, Jacksonville, Indianapolis, and also some smaller to mid-sized markets. Thought this was interesting as well, like Chattanooga, Madison, Palm Beach, and Tucson, Arizona. It's early, but anything in the league's launch announcement that you found particularly exciting, interesting? What'd you think?
I think it's really interesting that the Super League is going to be using the international calendar. So it's not going to compete directly with the NWSL. So, I mean, I think that we're talking about like August to May, essentially, your traditional footballing calendar around the world. I wonder how that might affect those teams' abilities to kind of poach talent from the European leagues compared to the NWSL. Now, obviously, salaries are going to play a huge part in that, but I wonder about the appeal of European players who would say, okay, yeah, this is when football is supposed to be played. Now, am I psyched about playing a football match in Madison, Wisconsin in November? I think that could be tough. But, we saw a match played in November in Gothenburg, Sweden. So, these things are going to happen. We talk every time we're watching Braun, we get excited for snow games. So, that could be an interesting wrinkle to this league. I do think, again, I'll just be completely honest here. I was lukewarm to the idea when I first heard it because I was like, well, why? Why would you have 2 Division 1 leagues? Like, who else is doing something like this? But then I realized to like some of the points you were making last week about the whole Lindsey Horan comments were we have a different footballing culture here. And it's probably very likely that most Americans do not give a shit about 2 leagues being Division 1 leagues. For the folks in Spokane or, later on down the road, like Chattanooga or, we talked about Brooklyn, Fort Lauderdale, Lexington, Kentucky. These are places that are like, yes, I'm going to have a professional football team that has the ability to sign great players to it. I got to imagine those markets are super, super psyched for this.
100%. I mean, not only do you get football, now we have kind of like almost like year-round women's football in the U.S., which is, First of all, that's pretty awesome. And then second of all, it also gives us more space. We've talked a lot about maybe like the coaching vacuum where we just don't have. And it was interesting. Third time I'm going to mention this, but Mewis and Horan also hit this point too, that in Europe, the technical ability is just in the culture. Mewis specifically was like, I had never been exposed to any of that. Just kind of like all this technical work. And this is her as a professional playing for City, right in the middle of her career. And she's just like, never seen anything like this before. never done any of these kind of drills or whatever. So she called it out specifically. Now, the USL Super League, all of a sudden, that's an opportunity to have real professional football with different coaching, management, development infrastructure. And maybe this is sort of wink, wink the strategy for the NWSL to kind of have a little bit of a developmental league or relationship where young players can go, maybe as an alternative to college, a la what we're seeing in the G League on the men's NBA side. And if a couple of these markets blossom, there's some merger potential. There's some potential for teams to kind of make the leap. They'll already have the infrastructure, a little bit less risky. But we also should keep into perspective NWSL massive media deal. You have owners launching this league that aren't going to have the same level of financial space to operate as the NWSL has, because all of it's going to be coming out of somebody's pocket, which is not the case on the NWSL side. So I think all in all, pretty exciting.
I'm 100% with you. I mean, there was some football snobbery involved at first, but I got over that like super quickly. I was like, okay, I think this is actually, the people who have founded this league are doing it thoughtfully. Just kind of like the idea of, adhering to the European football calendar. That's a really smart idea. And I love the point you make about, even if they don't want to look at themselves as like a developmental league, I know this is not a perfect one-to-one comparison, but in the MLS, FC Cincinnati, they were a USL team. Now, USL in men's football over here is a Division II league, but FC Cincinnati, they were able to prove that they were a viable football market, that they had fans who had an appetite for those games, and the team was well run, and they had a good fan base. They were able to make good footballing decisions and become a respectable club in just a couple years, and boom, they're quickly absorbed into the MLS. So I think you're onto something there. That could be part of what's happening here. Let me posit this idea to you. What if, and this is a crazy idea, but what if we had a couple leagues and then the best team in one of the lower level leagues got to play in the NWSL? And to add some more drama, what if the worst team in the NWSL had to go play in the other league? Could you even imagine something like that?
I mean, that's about as American as communism.
There you go. Damn. Oh yeah, I gotta break myself of those evil ways.
Yeah, all good. Did you just come up with that? I mean, that's pretty novel stuff. I mean, the problem is it's money, right?
Right. They'll never do it.
Yeah. So
no sports, no franchise owner in American sports is like, I would. Yeah. Sure, I'll be in danger of then playing smaller teams. Like they're never signing up for that.
I mean, ultimately, relegation in the United States, unfortunately, happens when a team owner has to sell because the value's just sort of been shrunken out of the franchise. And I think the prospects are all downward looking, so it's sort of like a pseudo relegation.
Sure.
Either way, though, I think ultimately we'll have promotion, right? Especially considering the big markets that they're looking at. And I don't know, I like it. More space, more room, more football, ton of it happening in Florida. Very pumped about that.
Yeah.
That'll keep me busy down here. Usually when a competing league kind of springs up, it's because they've got some interesting new ideas. And I think that's always a great scenario for innovation.
Did you see where the Brooklyn club is going to play?
No, where are they going to play?
They're going to play in the Brooklyn Cyclones Stadium, the minor league baseball team in Coney Island.
Let's go.
So
That's fucking cool.
I feel like the wind is going to be fucking whipping off the East River down there.
Yeah. November.
That's going to be
January,
tough.
February.
Saying.
It's going to be tricky.
This is a bit of a tangent. I'm usually against playing, whether it's American football or regular football, I'm usually against playing those games in baseball stadiums. I've actually had some formerly OL Reign, now once again Seattle Reign fans tell me that they liked when the club played they used to play in the minor league baseball stadium in Tacoma, the Tacoma Rainiers. And they said they kind of liked the charm of it. It was like, they felt like very underground about it, and when the NWSL did not have a giant media rights deal, and like you could pretty much, there were very few ways to get the information. A lot of those folks said they liked the vibes of that. Me, I still look at it a little sideways, but I absolutely, I saw some Reign games. I actually saw Reign play the Pride a few years ago in that little baseball stadium. I got to see Marta from like 10 feet away. I was like totally fucking starstruck and was like, holy shit, like it's one of the greatest players ever. Like I'm like right here. So I'm very, very psyched about the USL Super League. I think I was pretty quickly swayed on it, and I'm gonna guess for anybody who's interested, we'll probably be chatting about that league a little bit on the Into the Channel podcast.
Love it. Looking forward to that 1000%. Anything else you want to hit before we get out of here?
I think we did it, buddy. I think we covered everything there could possibly be to cover in the world of football.
Oh, that's if only there were enough hours in the day. Just so much going on. Great games again this weekend. There's actually great game. We're taping this Tuesday night. There's actually great games tomorrow.
Yeah.
Wasn't going to be enough turnaround time to get them into the pod, but I think Barcelona's in action tomorrow. But yeah, WSL, big time matchups, D1F, Liga F, the FA Cup draw, NWSL's heading into preseason. I mean, things are bubbling. It's an exciting time.
Things are happening, man. I mean, this is, we're right in the thick of it right now. Like, I think we're going into an international break here coming up where we're enjoying the football as it happens right now.
Oh, and I do have a surprise for you. IntoTheChannel.com, up and running. Anybody that wants to check it out, we're going to start posting some written material. We'll have links to all of our social, links to our YouTube, Spotify, everything that we're doing for the most part. You'll be able to find it up on our site, IntoTheChannel.com. With that said, I think we did it. This has been another episode of Into the Channel. Subscribe or follow us, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you like to watch or listen or browse the internet. That's available to you now as well. Comments, ratings, reviews, always appreciated at ITC_pod on X, at Into the Channel Pod on Threads. Big thanks to you for watching or listening. We're thrilled to have you hanging out with us. Big thank you to my co-host, Mr. Grant Engel, for earning Division I status all day, every day. It's fucking go.
You know what? I like doing this podcast with you for many reasons, but the fact that you dropped on me as a surprise that the website is up, that just shows we ain't never getting relegated, buddy. We're here to fucking stay.
We're out here.
All right, man. I will talk to you next week.